And this is what we call slope-intercept form. If it looks like it can write. Where the slope is in the M spot and the y-intercept is in the B slot. So if you look at the first example, it says write an equation of a line in which the given slope and y-intercept. And it says slope is equal to -3 and the y-intercept is equal to 2. So for this particular problem, all we're going to do is put the numbers in for M and for B. Okay? So my answer for this would be y equals, what's the slope that they gave you? -3x. And then what's the B? +2. And you're done. If they give you the slope and the y-intercept, these ones should be pretty simple for us. We're just plugging in the stuff and going. Okay? Kind of like a plug and play, right? You plug it in and away you go. On the second one that was there, we have a slope of 0 and a y-intercept of -5. Again, I'm just going to put the numbers in for M and for B. So y equals, what number is in the slope spot? 0x. And then what's in the B? You can either go plus -5 like so, or you could just put -5. The other thing is it's got 0x there. Do you even need the 0x? No. I could have the answer of y equals -5 for this as well. And then since the slope was 0, I could just make that nothing, right? 0 times x is 0. And then as far as the y-intercept goes, I could put plus -5 like we said, or we could just put -5. It's the same thing. How are you guys doing with example number 1? Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Or do you want another one? You guys good? Again, we're just putting in the numbers for M and for B. Then when we get to example 2, now it gets a little bit more involved with this. Okay? Because now it doesn't give you a slope. It might not even give you a y-intercept. It just gives you a picture of a graph. And so we have to determine all that information based on the graph that they give us. So on the first example, they have a chart or have a graph, and it goes right here at 0, -3. And then up here, it gives you an ordered pair of 4, 3. And then it has this line that's drawn in between them like so. The only thing that's not on there is all the grid markings and whatnot, but it's pretty much the same thing that we had on your picture. Okay? Now, what you can do in order to come up with all your pieces is you can use rise over run to find your slope. You need to have your slope. And again, if you forgot, you could do the rise over run, which it's still on the board, as well as the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. With a picture, it might be easier to do the rise over run, or you could use the ordered pairs. It doesn't matter. You should get the same answer. So what I mean by that is if I go from here and I start counting how far up and then how far over I have to go, that should give me the slope. If I go from from -3 to +3, how far did I go up?
6.
I went up 6. And if I went from 0 to 4, how far over did I go?
4.
4. So my rise number would be 6. My run number would be 4. What does 6 over 4 reduce to?
2.
I can divide them both by 2. And what's 6 divided by 2?
3.
And what's 4 divided by 2?
2.
So my slope is 3 over 2. Then the other thing I want you to look at with the picture, and hopefully they give this to you a lot of times, anytime it gives you an ordered pair with 0 and then a number, that is the y-intercept. So if they ever give you a picture or a table or anything like that, where 0 is the x-coordinate and there's a number in the y-coordinate, that is your y-intercept. So for this particular thing, y equals, what was the slope that you guys got? 3 over 2. X. And then what's the y-intercept for my problem? Which one has 0 and then a number with it? Negative 3. So my equation of my line is 3/2 x minus 3. Now, on the second one, I'm going to do the same concept, but I'm going to use a little bit different approach. You've got the picture. Right here crossing at 0, 2. And then you've got another point down here at 4, negative 1. And what I want to do for this one here is I don't want to necessarily use the rise over run stuff. I want to use the equation. I want to show you guys the equation one more time, the formula for slope. Which one's y2?
0, 2.
So if you want this to be the second one, you're going to go x2 and y2. Is that okay to do that? Yes. Then that would mean this would be x1 and this would be y1, as long as you know which one's which. So according to my formula, it was saying y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2, according to Miss Alyssa, she put a 2 in for y2. Minus y1, which is negative 1. Over, what's the second x then? Which one do we have as x2?
0.
0. Minus 4. Quentin, what?
Since it's two negatives, can't you make it a positive?
We're getting there. You're ahead of me. Now, on the top, you have 4. No, you don't. You have 2 minus a negative 1. And what Quentin was asking was, since you have 2 negatives here, doesn't that make it a one big positive? And he was right. 2 plus 1 is 3. On the bottom, 0 minus 4 becomes a negative 4, which means, you guys, we have a negative slope. And I want you to think about the line. Remember, if it goes downwards, it should be a negative. Was our slope negative? Yeah. Now, next thing, which is the y-coordinate, or y-intercept? Where does it cross the y-axis at? 2. So my equation of my line should be y equals negative 3/4 x plus 2. How do you guys feel about that?
Good.
That's example 2. Now, example 3, you can do one of a couple different ways. You can still use rise over run, but notice the difference with example 3. Is there a picture?
No.
No. Could you make a picture if you wanted to?
Yeah.
Yes, you could. If you want to make a picture, you're more than welcome to make a picture. You can make a grid if you want to. I'm going to try not to, just to show you how we're going to do it. But to be honest, you can use a picture if you want. Okay? So if you want a picture, make a picture. If you don't want a picture, don't make a picture. But for example 3, it gives you negative 3, 5, 0, and negative 1. If I'm going left to right, this is x1 and y1, and this would be x2 and y2. Now, to be honest, it doesn't matter as long as you stay consistent which one's which, but I always go left to right when I'm doing mine. Okay? So which one is y2?
-1.
-1. Minus, what's y1?
5.
5. Over, what's x2?
0.
0 minus
-3.
-3. On the top, what's -1 minus 5? And you need to be careful. What's -1 minus 5?
4.
Not 4.
The wrong one.
Rick?
I understand that like x2 has to go with x1 and like vice versa.
Yep.
But like would the equation come out the same if it was like -3 minus 0 on top? And
No.
then, like,
It has to be
5.
y on top and an x on the bottom.
but does it matter what order like they're in that way?
It doesn't matter from left to right what order they're in, but you can't put the x's on top. It's got to be the y's on top. And the reason why is because it's got to be the rise number, and that affects the y over the runs. Haley?
Wouldn't it be +3?
No. On the bottom, yes, but not the top.
-6.
On the top, we're -6. Because you're back 1, and then you're back 5, you guys. On the bottom, like what Haley said, 0 minus a negative,
-6.
so that would be a +3 on the bottom. And what's -6 divided by 3?
-1.
Careful.
Oh wait.
2.
This one would be -2, because you actually are, the top one is bigger than the bottom one. So now, which one you guys has a 0 for the x-coordinate?
-1.
This is your y-intercept. Anytime you have 0 with a number, that's the y-intercept. So my answer for the equation is y equals -2x minus 1. And let's try the next one. It's 0, -5. 8, -5. If I go left to right, this is x1 and y1. And this is x2 and this is y2. So what number is where y2 is?
-5.
-5, good. Minus, what's y1?
-5.
Over, what's x2?
8.
Minus,
0.
on the top, what is a -5 minus a -8?
2.
Or sorry, what do 2 negatives make?
To 0. Or
A
positive.
positive. So what's -5 plus 5?
0.
0. And on the bottom, what's 8 minus 0?
8.
And what's 0 divided by 8?
Also
Try again.
8.
No.
0.
Yes.
Finally.
If 0's on the top, 0 divided by 8 is 0. Now, which one's the y-intercept? The 0, -5, or the 8, -5?
0, -5.
This one's the y-intercept because it's got a 0 in the x. So y equals, what was the slope that you got?
0.
0, x, and what's the y-intercept?
-5.
-5. If you leave the answer that way, I will mark this correct. You could also have y equals -5 because the 0x would go away. I will take either option. Okay, they are the same thing to me. How do you guys feel?
What do you mean?
we're going through this kind of quick. Are you guys okay with this? Seems to be going a lot faster than the previous stuff. Riddick.
Wait, I forgot. How did you find the y-intercept? Is
What-
it always just like what y1 or y2 is?
It's whichever one has an x 0. So the x is this one right here. You look for the order pair that has a 0. And whatever number is with it, that's the y-intercept.
All right.
So like if you look back at this one, that's the reason why it was -1, because it was 0, -1. Riddick, this one, 0, 2, so the 2 is the y-intercept. Whichever one has an ordered pair of 0 and then the number. All right, now the next one. It says write a linear function f with the values of f of 0 equals 10 and f of 6 equals 34. And this is kind of tricky because it looks different, right? Just because things look differently, does it mean they're any different? No. Same with people. If people look different, does that mean they're different? No. On this first one where it says f of 0 equals 10, that's the same thing as me writing the ordered pair of 0, 10. And the next one where it says f of 6 equals 34, that's the same thing as me writing 6 and then 34. Is that any different than the ones we've been doing? No. It's the same now, isn't it? It's just written in a little different format. That's all. So if I set them up the same way, where I do the x and the y trick, which one's y2?
34.
Good job. Minus
10.
10 over
6.
minus 0. On the top, what's 34 minus 10? 24. Good. On the bottom,
6.
6. And for the win, Haley, what's 24 divided by 6?
4 over 1.
4 over 1. Do I need to write the over 1?
No.
No. Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. But you don't have to. Good job, Haley. Now, Riddick, only because I want to make sure you know it now. Which one has the 0 for the x?
10.
So that's the y-intercept.
Yeah.
So the difference is this, though. Here's the difference with this. The directions say write a linear function. It does not say write a linear equation. Two different things. So instead of writing y equals for functions, you write f of x equals. F of x and y equals are the same. One's a function, one's an equation. Function, by definition, is a machine. Like the pop and water machines that are downstairs in the commons, like a machine. You put the money in, you get the money out, or get whatever out. That's what it is, okay? You still solve them the same way, it's just a little bit different notation. What was the slope you guys found?
24 over 6.
Which is
4.
4x. And then what was the y-intercept again?
10.
Just plus 10. You don't need to write 10. Unless you're Quentin and you say it, so you gotta write it. Ha ha ha.
How do you know, like, with the ordered pairs to, like, subtract or add? How do you know?
You mean the 34 minus 10?
Yeah.
That's always the formula. y2 minus y1, and then x2 minus x1. It's always subtracting. The only time it gets changed to adding is when you'd have a negative in there, so two negatives would make that a positive in between. Okay? How you guys doing? Okay? All right, you try the next one. It gives you a slope of 7 and a y-intercept of 2. Write the equation. Y equals mx plus b. that enough time, or do you need more time? All right, anybody want to share what they got?
Oh,
Okay.
for both or just one?
Just the first one, Quinn.
The first one I got y equals 7x plus 2.
7x plus 2. How many of you guys like that answer? You guys like that one? Or did Quentin get it wrong?
Yeah, right.
Get it right? Everybody agree with that? Yeah, I do too. All right, good job. So the slope was 7, so the slope goes in for M, and the y-intercept was 2, so you put it in for B. Excellent work. So on the next one, we've got a slope of 1/3 and a y-intercept of -1. Go.
Y is equal to 1/3 minus
Y is equal to, say that again, 1/3.
1/3 minus -1.
Careful, Haley.
Yeah, x.
1/3 x, and then this part back here. What'd you say for the y-intercept part?
-1.
Just -1. Not a. Did you say plus a -1?
Said minus
Oh, if you had a minus a -1, then that would turn it into an adding. So you want to keep it a minus, okay? So for that, what you said earlier on the previous ones, you were this person plus a -1 like that. That would have been okay. Okay, but for this one, me personally, if it's a minus or if it's the slope is or the y-intercept is negative, just put a minus for the whole thing. Okay. How you guys feel? Comfortable with those?
Yeah.
Okay. Then at the top of the next page, we good for time? We got time. It's one of these ones.
Slope intercept.
Where they give you an ordered pair of 4, 3, and then they give you an ordered pair of 0, 1. Okay, you try. All right.
Isn't it from the 20?
So going from
They were both the same.
Not like we reduced.
my points, if I go up and over, I went from 1 to 3. So how high up did I go?
3 up and then 4 across.
But I was 1 up already. So 1 to 3 is how far? 2. Good. And I went from 0 to 4. How far across?
4.
4. So according to my rise over run stuff, I should be up 2 over 4. What does that reduce to?
Will I reduce it?
Always reduce if you can. What number goes into both 4 and 2?
2.
Good. What's 2 divided by 2?
1.
1. What's
1.
4 divided by 2 is 2. Good. So 1/2. That's my slope. So y equals 1/2 x. And what's the y-intercept?
1.
1. How'd you get that, Alyssa?
Because it's not a negative.
Not a negative?
Over there.
But where'd you find it? That's my question.
0, 1.
Yeah. Remember, it's the one that has a 0 as the x-intercept, or x-coordinate. Good. Oh, is that what you're talking about? The second one's the same. That was not very smart. Probably should have had a different problem in there, huh? Oof, I didn't even see that. All right, next one. Does not give you a picture. Do you need a picture?
Nope.
If you need a picture, can you draw a picture? Yeah, and I said that the first time we did it, but then I didn't demonstrate that. What I mean by drawing a picture is if you need one, you make a graph and you plot the ordered pair on there. 0, -2 would be down 2, make dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, make dot. And then you connect the dots. That's where it would look the same thing as what you just got done doing, if you wanted to. But you don't have to. What number is in the Y2 spot? What's the second Y? 10. Ooh, excuse me. Minus, what's in the first Y spot? -2, good. On the bottom, what's the second X?
4,
Minus,
0.
you're on fire today. What's 10 minus a -2?
12.
12 divided by, what's 4 minus 0?
4.
4. You guys are doing awesome today. What? And 12 divided by 4 is 3. Good job. So to write the final answer, y equals 3x, because that's your slope you got. And then what was the y-intercept?
-2.
-2. And the next one. We got g of 0 is equal to 9er, and g of 8 is equal to 7. So what did I do with the problems that we did for this one? Does anybody recall what we have to do for this problem? Put them in ordered pairs. Miss Alyssa, how do I do that?
Put 0 and 9 together.
Okay.
And put 8 and 7 together.
Is everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Good. That was awesome. So which one's the second y?
7,
Minus.
9,
Nice. Over.
0 minus 8, or 8 minus 0.
Gotta be 8 minus 0. Because, Riddick, you went 7 minus 9, you went the right one on top? or-
Well, yeah, that's because on mine I went 9 minus 7, so.
Okay. So just make sure you stay consistent. Okay? So we gotta go 8 minus 0 on the bottom. All right, on the top, what is 7 minus 9er?
-2.
Nice job. On the bottom, what's 8 minus 0?
8.
Now, be careful. Do not get this wrong. Think before you speak. -2 divided by 8 is what?
+4.
Nope. Good try. It's not a positive, first of all, because you have one negative in there.
Wouldn't it be -4 then?
Not -4 either.
Positive 4.
Not positive at all. I'll give you the negative. But the answer is not 4.
2.
Not 2. Not 6. Quit guessing. We did the classic mistake for this problem. You automatically took the big one divided by the little one.
Is it 1/4?
It's 1/4. And the reason why is you just reduce them. Don't necessarily divide the big divided by the little. 2 divided by 8 would come out as negative, or in this case, negative 2 divided by 8 would come out as negative 0.25 if you used a calculator, which reduces down. What happens is that 2 goes into both of them. And if you divide them both by 2, you would get negative 1/4. Okay? Which one's the y-intercept?
9.
9. So y equals negative 1/4 x
No,
plus 9. Oop.
function.
But it said function, right? And I wrote it as an equation. So since it said g, I put a g. All the difference between g and f is one's the Pepsi machine and one's the Coke machine. Same machine, or same type of machine, just different brands, right? That's what that means. Okay? What do you guys think?
Good.
Now, we have one more thing to go through, the modeling part. I'm going to wait and do that tomorrow with you. We'll spend some time doing the modeling tomorrow. Okay, we'll do the word problem because that's going to take us some time. And then, because we're kind of running out of time, we'll do the modeling one tomorrow, and then you'll have the rest of the time to work on your assignment, okay? How's that sound?
Good.
Okay, because I don't want to run, like we got 10 minutes left-ish. And if we started doing the modeling, by the time we got done explaining it, it takes like maybe 12 minutes. So I don't want to keep you past. Okay, so, and then that way tomorrow we can go through anything, we can go through a couple more of these if we need to. All right?
Alright.
Okay.
I accidentally took